In addition to all the items mentioned in my Dark Souls survival guide, there are some items in Dark Souls that, while aren't worthy of being classed as life-saving, do come in handy, and some that are just plain fun to play around with. So without further ado, let's dive straight in. As per its in-game description, death triggers the dark sign, which returns its bearer to the last bonfire rested at, but at the cost of all humanity and souls. Now, if like me, you were bewildered as to what scenario would justify using the dark sign, returning to your most recent bonfire, and sacrificing all your humanity and souls, when you could simply just die and have it pretty much have the same effect. Well, as it turns out, this isn't just a pointless item put in the game for the sake of it. Using the dark sign causes you to permanently lose any souls and humanity that you currently have active. This in turn means you don't leave a bloodstain on the floor. So if you find yourself in a scenario where you have already died and lost a substantial amount of souls and humanity, and while en route to retrieving that bloodstain you realise you won't be able to make it for one reason or another, you can simply use the dark sign. As if you died attempting to reach it, you would create a new bloodstain, completely losing access to those previous souls and humanity that you had left behind. Another benefit of using the dark sign is that unlike dying normally, if you're in human form and use the dark sign, you will not turn hollow. If you value humanities more than your current soul count, then this is a viable solution for you to retain your human form. The binoculars are available from very early on in the game and can be found at the far end of the graveyard, adjacent to Firelink Shrine. Just follow the path in the graveyard all the way along the right hand side, past several skeletons and a giant skeleton. You will then find the binoculars on a corpse near the far cliff edge. They are also available as a starter gift during the character creation. However, I wouldn't recommend this as there are far more useful items available and the binoculars can be obtained within the first 30 minutes of the game. Very much stating the obvious here, but the binoculars can be used to see into far off distances, enabling you to both enjoy the landscape and also see upcoming enemies, and in some cases bosses. The most handy feature of the binoculars is that you can utilise them to aim the crossbow and cast spells outside of the lock-on range. In addition to this, if you equip the Hawk Ring, you will be able to see even further for more of an advantage. The Black Eye Orb can be found outside the Firelink Shrine Firekeeper, Anastasia of Astora's cage, after she has been murdered by Lordran of Karim. This series of events is triggered either when both Bells of Awakening have been rung, or when you have collected both the Undead Parish and Blighttown Firekeeper souls, whichever occurs first. Once you have obtained the Black Eye Orb from Anastasia's corpse, you now have the ability, once you can access Anor Londo, to invade Lordran of Karim's world and do battle with him in phantom form. In order to invade his world, you will need to enter the chamber in Anor Londo just prior to Ornstein and Smaug's boss room. When you do this, you should get a message saying, "The Black Eye is quivering." If you then use the Black Eye Orb, your character will be transported to Lordran's world, where you will do battle with him and two of his cronies, a sorcerer and a warrior. When you defeat Lordran, you will receive Anastasia's Firekeeper soul, which can then be used to restore her and reignite the Firelink Shrine bonfire. This questline is possibly my favourite to undertake in Dark Souls, and I just wish there were more like it in the game. Funnily enough, there is some cut content whereby using the Black Eye Orb in the courtyard area of the Painted World would have allowed you to invade the world of Shiva of the East, but unfortunately this was removed before the game was released. The Skull Lantern can be obtained in the Tomb of the Giants, located on a corpse in the pit that Patches the Hyena kicks you down into. It can also be obtained as a rare 2% chance drop from the Necromancers in the Catacombs. But due to the way that this drop rate works, every time you kill a Necromancer, the drop rate increases by 10%. So by the time you have killed all 5 Necromancers, the drop rate is 62%, and you've more than likely obtained it. The Skull Lantern, while primarily used as a light source, can also be wielded in the right hand as a weapon, dealing pure fire damage. However, as the Skull Lantern cannot be upgraded, it only has a maximum strike damage of 33, with an additional 75 fire damage, and this is its cap with 37 points in strength. The Skull Lantern's main use is as a source of light, and this can be achieved by holding it in your left hand and blocking, so bear in mind that this will prevent you from using a shield. While the amount of light the Skull Lantern emits is much weaker than both the Sunlight Maggot Helm and the Cast Light spell, the Skull Lantern is the only light source that will reveal hidden path markers leading you to Nito's boss area in the Tomb of the Giants. In addition to this, as with the other light sources, the Skull Lantern will reveal hidden walls in Ulasil Township in the Artorias of the Abyss DLC. All in all, the Skull Lantern has a very useful bit of unique functionality in the Tomb of the Giants, and as it only requires 5 levels in strength to wield, makes it extremely accessible for every starter class the game has to offer. Before we move on to the next one, if you are enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and ring that bell to make sure you don't miss out on even more Dark Souls content. The Bottomless Box is an inventory management item and allows you to store an almost unlimited amount of items that can be accessed from any bonfire. The Bottomless Box can be purchased from Domhnall of Xena for 1,000 souls, either when he is sat in the depths by the entrance to Blighttown, or after he relocates to under the aqueduct that links Firelink Shrine to the Undead Burg. Since patch 1.05, the bottomless box can also be purchased from the Undead Male Merchant located in the Undead Burg for 1000 souls. If you're the type of gamer who loves to play Dark Souls New Game Plus, the bottomless box is a must-have tool for stashing away all those unrequired duplicate items that build up over the playthrough. Or if you're just the type of gamer who can't stand trawling through endless amounts of unneeded items, the bottomless box offers you the ability to be able to offload as many items as you want but still have fairly easy access to them. Either way, for only 1000 souls, the bottomless box is a nice little tool to have one way or another. The egg vermifuge is a consumable that cures the egghead infection that you receive when you are grabbed and infected by an egg carrier. Egg vermifuge can be obtained as a 10% rare drop from the tree lizards in the Darkroot Garden, or a 5% chance rare drop from the egg carriers in both Quelaag's Domain and the Demon Ruins. They can also be purchased from Engi in Quelaag's Domain for 1000 souls each, but if you talk to him while bearing the egghead, he will give you an egg vermifuge for free. Other than this, one can be obtained from a corpse in the attic of the first room with several engorged hollows in the painted world of Ariamis. Finally, if you do choose to do so, you can trade an egg vermifuge with Snuggly the Crow for a dragon scale. What more could you want in Dark Souls than have the ability to turn your head into a dragon's head? Well, with the Dragon Headstone, you can do just that. And not only will you look like a dragon, sort of, but you can even breathe fire and burn your enemies to a crisp. The Dragon Headstone can be obtained by joining the Path of the Dragon Covenant, which is located at the far end of Ash Lake. To utilise this, remove any headgear that you currently have equipped, then use the Dragon Headstone like any other consumable, and it will transform your head into a dragon head. This effect will last until you next die. Once you have the dragon head active, pressing and holding the use button while the stone is equipped in the current item slot will then unleash your fiery dragon's breath. The longer you hold the button down for, the longer the breath will last, but it does use 50 stamina regen per second squared. It is worth noting that directing this attack can be cumbersome. You need to ensure your character's body is facing the direction you wish to attack. You can increase the damage output of the Dragon Breath by increasing your rank within the Path of the Dragon Covenant. To do this, you will need to give Dragon Scales to the Everlasting Dragon. At rank 0, which is the default rank at joining, the Dragon Breath will deal 120 damage per tick. With 10 Dragon Scales, you can reach rank 1, which increases the attack to 125 damage per tick. At rank 2, with 30 total Dragon Scales, the damage increases to 130 per tick. And finally, with a whopping 80 total Dragon Scales, you can reach rank 3, and your Dragon Breath will deal 140 damage per tick. All in all, while this may not be the deadliest weapon in the game by a long shot, it is really fun to play around with. The Dragon Torso Stone can be obtained by reaching rank 2 of the Path of the Dragon Covenant. When used, it will give the player's body a dragon-like appearance, but will require you to be wearing no armour, and as with the Dragon Headstone, this effect will remain until the player dies. Once you have transformed, if you reuse the Dragon Torso Stone, it will make your character raw and apply some additional buffs. This does cost 100 stamina though. The first effect is an ability similar to the Miracle Force, whereby your character unleashes a shockwave, which will knock back nearby enemies and also repel incoming projectiles. The range of the shockwave increases with your Covenant ranking, starting at 2.5 meters with rank 0, 3 meters with rank 1, 3.5 meters with rank 2, and then maxing out at 4 meters for rank 3. In addition to the shockwave, reactivating the Dragon Torso Stone will also increase your attack rating for 5 seconds. This again scales with your Covenant rank. It starts at 20% for rank 0, 22% for rank 1, 25% for rank 2, and 30% for rank 3. Finally, while you have the Dragon Torso Stone active, your unarmed attack rating is multiplied by 20, and your entire moveset is pretty much altered to utilise claw attacks, including the plunging attack animation. Going full dragon while not the most practical is something I feel everyone should try out at least once. The Silver Pendant is an extremely useful tool in Dark Souls, and can only be acquired once you have entered the Ulasil Township in the DLC, and is located in a chest in a room hidden behind an illusory wall that only appears if you use the Sunlight Maggot Helm, Skull Lantern, or cast Light spell. The Silver Pendant, when used, emits a sort of shockwave that will deflect dark magics, making it extremely useful for the remaining areas of the DLC when dealing with the Bloathead Sorcerers, and can even be used against the final DLC boss Manus, Father of the Abyss, when he launches his dark magic, although getting the timing just right can be tricky. While it may take some practice to time the activation, for me, the Silver Pendant is my go-to item when traversing the later half of the DLC, and feels like a cheat code for taking on Manus' second phase. And for now, that's it! I hope this extra batch of tools and items will serve you well as you venture across the lands of Lordran. Let me know in the comment section below which one you found the most handy. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Dark Souls content.